Ever get that itch, like you just need some adventure?
Mm-hmm.
This deep dive, it's pure adrenaline. We're talking hotshot pilots, a gruff but caring admiral, and a mysterious alien threat. Buckle up, we're going into Cassandra's tears.
Yeah, and what's fascinating is you're dropped right into the action.
No kidding.
This universe is already at war, and you get this sense of history, like something simmering just below the surface. It's great.
We're talking excerpts from the first issue of the comic, right?
Yeah.
And right away, we meet Cal Mason, ace pilot. Fresh off a daring rescue, this guy is like itching to get back into the cockpit.
Yeah, you can tell he's one of those flyboy types.
Oh, totally. But he's also grounded, right? Seems there were some consequences too. What was it? A stunt on Vega?
Yeah, the Vega incident. And that's what makes Cal so interesting right away, you know?
Yeah.
You've got the bravery, obviously, but there's this recklessness too. And the author uses this stunt, this disobedience, to hint at some serious baggage. It's like,
Vega is code for trauma, or at least that's what they want us to think.
right.
But it's not just Cal.
Oh, wait.
We've got Penny, another pilot, and man, you get this vibe from her, like she's got something to prove.
Definitely. You get that Top Gun energy from her.
Yes.
And her back and forth with Cal. So good.
Oh, yeah.
It really highlights how important teamwork is in this kind of situation, especially when you're up against an enemy like the Vanduul. You got to be able to trust the people you're flying with.
And speaking of the Vanduul, their attack on the Yar system, I don't know, something about it just seemed off. I mean, they hit this sparsely populated planet. Doesn't exactly scream strategic genius.
That's a good point. If they're supposed to be as tough as everyone says, why go for a target that's not really tactically important? It almost feels like.
Like a feint.
Yeah, like a distraction. Makes you wonder what they're really after.
Makes you wonder if they're underestimating us, too.
Could be. Or overestimating us.
Oh, interesting.
Like maybe this planet was just the easiest target.
And that they wanted an easy win to demoralize everyone.
Exactly.
Okay, now that is interesting. So it's not just a strategic blunder, it's psychological warfare.
There you go.
See, this is why I love deep dives. Always something new and considered. But, okay, where does Admiral Showalter, or Grandpa, as everyone calls him, fit into all of this?
Well, you know how sometimes in military sci-fi you get those grizzled old veterans?
Absolutely.
And they're always caught between following the rules and protecting their people. He's a classic archetype.
Totally. Like that scene where Cal takes off without authorization.
Oh, yeah.
You just know Showalter knows instantly that it's Cal up there pushing the limits.
Yeah.
It's like you can practically see him thinking, that kid is going to be the death of me, but he's also the best pilot we've got.
Right. And that look he gives, it just speaks volumes about their relationship.
Yep.
Showalter sees Cal's potential, but he also sees the danger in his recklessness. It's a tough spot to be in.
And just when you think you're starting to figure things out, bam, cliffhanger.
Right.
A Vanduul flagship appears out of nowhere.
Talk about raising the stakes.
Seriously. So what do you think?
Well, it makes you wonder, what could a Vanduul flagship possibly want in a system like this?
Exactly.
Makes that whole strategically off attack even more puzzling.
Right. Like, what if this whole thing was a setup
Oh, interesting.
to draw out the more experienced pilots?
I see what you're saying.
Someone like Cal, maybe?
Yeah, someone who's known to bend the rules, maybe even break them.
Exactly. And then they spring a trap.
Ooh, that's good. That's really good. And you know what else has me thinking?
What's that?
The title of this thing. Cassandra's Tears.
Okay, I'm listening.
Cassandra, right. Greek myth. The whole cursed to see the future but no one believes her deal.
Oh, right, yeah.
So you've got Cal raring to go, always pushing the limits. What if he's operating on instinct? Like he sees what's coming, but he can't explain it.
Like a kind of premonition.
Exactly. And maybe no one believes him, just like Cassandra.
Oh, man, that would be something. To have this incredible instinct, this gift even, but to be punished for it.
Or think about this. Maybe his superiors see his recklessness.
Yeah.
And that's the real self-fulfilling prophecy.
Wow. You're blowing my mind here.
Who's the real Cassandra in this story?
Okay, now that is a great question. See, this is why we do deep dives. You've got the action, the space battles, all that good stuff.
Of course, gotta have the explosions.
Always. But there's also this other layer, this tension, you know? This sense that something bigger is going on.
Absolutely. Like just below the surface. And that's what I love about sci-fi.
Me too.
It's not just about the pew-pew lasers.
Yeah.
It makes you think about the bigger picture, the cost of war, what it does to people.
And facing down a Vanduul flagship.
Yeah.
Talk about high stakes.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Cal and his squadron, they're totally outmatched. It's like David and Goliath, but in space.
So what do you think? Does Cal's impulsiveness, that drive to get back in the pilot seat, could that be the key?
You're asking the right questions.
It really makes you think, when does playing it safe actually put you in more danger?
Right. Like, at what point does sticking to the rules become its own kind of risk?
Exactly. But before we really get lost in the weeds here, I want to hear what you think. Listener name.
Yeah, what were your first impressions? This world, these characters, that Van Duel threat looming out there. So much to unpack.
We've got this incredible pilot, right, who might actually be seeing the future, going up against impossible odds. And let's not forget about Vega, still so much we don't know.
Yeah, that's the best kind of story, though, isn't it? The kind that leaves you with more questions than answers.
Oh, for sure. At least when it's done well. And this, I think Cassandra's Tears is, like, really onto something.
Totally agree. It's not just giving you information, it's more about making you curious.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Like, that's the mark of good science fiction in my book. When it makes you think.
Yeah.
And this first issue, it's just, it pulls you in.
It really does. It feels so real, you know? Like this universe, these characters, they all have this history.
Yeah.
And that conflict
Oh, yeah.
between Cal and his superiors, the Van Duel, it's personal, but it's also, like, way bigger than all of them.
Totally. And okay, speaking of Mysteries.Vega, what do you think happened there?
Honestly, I have no idea. But I'm dying to find out.
Me too. And what about the YAR system? There's got to be something special about it. What else could make the Van Duel risk one of their flagships?
Right. It just doesn't add up.
Unless,
What if they know something we don't?
okay, now you're really thinking. See, this is what I'm talking about. These little details, these questions, they're like breadcrumbs, leading us to the truth.
And sometimes those breadcrumbs lead to even bigger questions.
Oh, always. So, listener name, as you keep reading Cassandra's Tears, I want you to really pay attention to those details, no matter how small.
They're important.
How do people react to Cal? What are the things nobody's saying out loud?
Exactly.
Because I have a feeling those answers, they're out there, hidden in plain sight, just like Cassandra's Truth. Until next time.